the garbanzo flatbread, the salmon croquettes, one of the easiest dinners ever. And today I'm going to talk to you about vitamin E and how important it is during pregnancy and lactation while I make a dinner that is high in vitamin E. We're going to start with making our garbanzo flatbread, which will serve as the bread for our salmon croquette burgers. You want to put 1 cup of garbanzo and 3/4 cup of tapioca flour. If you're not experienced with cooking, I have a little bit more experience with cooking, and I don't mind a dough that's a little harder to work with. And then you're going to put 2 tablespoons of flaxseed, 1/2 teaspoon of either baking soda like I have here. You can also use yeast and let it develop. I like to use yeast when I'm going to make the dough ahead of time and let it sit in the fridge. Here I'm going to make it right away, so I went ahead and have the baking soda, which acts right away. And we're just going to stir that together. Vitamin E is crucial during pregnancy and lactation. A pregnant woman needs 15 milligrams per day, and a lactating woman needs 19 milligrams per day, which is much higher than your normal state. Vitamin E, and I'm going to add enough water just to bring it together. It's going to be about 1/2 cup. Vitamin E is not like a lot of the other nutrients. Most vitamins and minerals act as cofactors in the body, and vitamin E is a little bit different because vitamin E acts as an antioxidant, and it acts as a direct antioxidant. Vitamin E is unique in the fact that it acts directly itself as an antioxidant. And this is a very forgiving recipe. It's based off of a Lebanese flatbread recipe. Vitamin E, and it's important as an antioxidant during pregnancy because pregnancy itself is a state where you have high levels of oxidative stress, and this is just due to the natural state of pregnancy, not an unhealthy pregnancy, but a normal pregnancy has a high redox state, which means there's a lot of antioxidation going on in the body, and this means that the body needs, so my dough here is nice and soft. Got a little bit too much water, so I'm going to add a little flour back in like that. Okay, I'm going to now stir my carrot fries that I have, that I am roasting to go along with these sandwiches. Oil in here, and so I'm just going to toss it. Because I put the oil on top. I tossed it with a little bit of oil and turmeric powder. Not a lot, because turmeric has a lot strong flavor, about 1/4 teaspoon for this amount of carrots that I have here. And then I'm tossing it with the oil after 20 minutes, and then I'm going to and you want to have a wet dough, but not too wet to dry it out. It's generally about 1/2 cup of water to your 1 3/4 cup of flour. If you get a little extra, you can add whatever flour you have back in to dry it up a little bit, because you want it to be kind of like the texture of a pie dough. So vitamin E is really important during pregnancy because it helps lower the redox status that is naturally occurring during pregnancy. There's a high level of oxidative stress naturally occurs just by the nature of growing the fetus and the placenta and all these mechanisms. A lot of them, the mechanisms actually need to produce oxidants in order to carry out the systems of pregnancy. And vitamin E is important because it can prevent a lot of the conditions that result from high redox stress or high oxidative stress in the body during pregnancy, such as preeclampsia. Now, preeclampsia is not directly due to a lack of vitamin E. It's multifactorial, meaning it's caused by a lot of factors, but a lot of these factors seem to be due to a lack of nutrient intake, and especially those nutrients that act as antioxidants or act in cohort with other nutrients to decrease the oxidative stress in the body. These seem to decrease the incidence of preeclampsia. It is important to get vitamin E from your food rather than from supplementation, because vitamin E supplementation can result in a lot of negative factors in the body, such as premature rupture of membranes, where the membrane of the placental comes away from the body, and preterm birth. And consuming enough vitamin E in food form actually can prevent issues such as that. Vitamin E is really important for one major role in pregnancy is its contribution to increased vasodilation. And this is important because now I've got this dough and I'm gonna let this sit while I go ahead and start making the salmon patties for the burgers. For 3 to 4 people, you want to have 2 cans of salmon. So 1 can will serve 1 adult and a child, or 2 cans will serve 3 people. Now, all the nutrients in this dinner are combining together to give about 30% of your vitamin E. Vitamin E is really important for vasodilation in the body. Why is vasodilation important during pregnancy? Because when the arteries and veins of the placental form that attach the baby to the mother's blood supply, these vessels, they have to dilate in order to take blood to the baby, and the blood carries the nutrients. And vitamin E is one nutrient that helps with this dilation, and therefore increases nutrient flow to your baby. So you could be getting all the nutrients you need, but if you're not having enough vasodilation and your baby's not getting enough blood flow, then you can inhibit its nutrient uptake. And I want to get 1 egg and put that in there. And then I'm going to chop a little cilantro and add that in there. It's not necessary, but for a good flavor, it's going to be lovely. About 50% of women during pregnancy and lactation do not consume sufficient vitamin E. Add a little cracked pepper in there. This is very variable. You can do it however you like. A little salt, a little pepper. I'm not going to add salt because the salmon itself, canned salmon, already has sodium in it. But I do like to put a little egg in there. If you want, you can put a little flour to help mix it all together. Vitamin E, in addition to being an antioxidant itself, works in cohort and an antioxidant pathway, one of the largest in the body, with glutathione. And it works to regenerate the glutathione along with the nutrients selenium and vitamin C. Speaking of vitamin C, it's very important to not have excessive vitamin C supplements with vitamin E supplements, because this can actually cause premature rupture of your membrane, which is one of the major reasons for preterm birth. Now I'm going to add my olive oil into my pan and cook these salmon burgers in my olive oil pan. I'm also going to heat up my other pan so that I can start my garbanzo flour flatbreads. My favorite way to make these garbanzo flour flatbreads is on a comal, but I don't have a comal, and a cast iron skillet is going to work equally well. The key is to get your skillet very, very, very hot. Now I'm going to add some olive oil into my dough. And I call for 1 to 3 tablespoons, depending upon how much you want to put in. Now, olive oil is one of the largest sources of vitamin E, and I noticed from working on my book, Staying Fed, cooking manual for pregnancy and lactation, that when I'm doing a nutrition analysis, the recipes that have olive oil tend to fulfill the vitamin E requirements quite easily. For just 2 tablespoons of olive oil, you can get 4 milligrams of vitamin E, which is about 30% of your needs, not quite. Maybe for a normal person. Oil's ready. It's just starting to smoke. You smoke your oil, you want to throw it out, but I'm not quite there yet. That, if you have breadcrumbs to mix with your salmon patties, that works great. Some bread, I don't have bread. I'm camping right now. Salmon's also a good source of vitamin E. So combined all together, we're gonna get all the 30% of, not quite 30%, 4.2 grams in this entire recipe. I have realized through a great deal of data analysis of my own cooking style and of other foods that in other people's diets that, I mean, it can be difficult to meet all your vitamin E needs without incorporating certain foods in your diet on a regular basis. And this includes snacks like almonds. 1 ounce of almonds will have 4.2 milligrams as well, about the same as 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Using olive oil more often, I've actually started using more olive oil instead of coconut oil to cook because I noticed that that increases the vitamin E. My diet needs to go down. I love to use tapioca flour to roll my breads out because it is really light in texture and silky and satiny, and everything comes up quite easily from tapioca flour. In lieu of that, you can use any other flour that you like. I have some coconut flour, which is usually my last choice, but it's what Mama's got today. And then I just take my jar. If I don't have a rolling pin, you can use a jar or a cup. Anything like that will do. Get it nice and you're going to roll it out. You want it to be quite thin. And though it seems like, oh, I've got to make crackers or I've got to make the bread, it's actually the easiest part of cooking is to make these little flatbreads, and it just turns anything into a really nice meal. And if I get extra, I just cut it in about the size that I like. I'll throw that back in the thing. Doesn't have to be perfect. One of the beauties of this is its rustic nature, and I didn't put oil down first to heat up the pan. My pan's smoking, but that's okay. It's just a little of the remnant oil for greasing. That's about how hot, because these, you want to put the oil down and then put the things right on top of the oil, so that oil, that fresh oil that you're cooking it in it, doesn't have a chance to burn. And then I'm going to do my next rolls. You just need a small ball about this size in my hand. See that? About the size of my boobs. Just kidding. I only make as much as I need at one time, and then I throw that dough in the fridge. And I can have this dough, I can roll out bigger ones, and it bakes in the oven really nicely as well. Or you can pre-fry them and then add pizza sauce and cheese on top. And let me tell you, first child, it's the easiest meal ever. You just make these up and add some canned tomato sauce. You flip it like that. It was cracked, but it's still gonna turn out perfect. Now vitamin E, we talked about vitamin E being important for vasodilation and helping the placenta and therefore the baby get all the nutrients it needs. It also is really important during pregnancy because it plays a role in regulation of prostacyclin release. And this, a lot of times, if you are having, especially during the beginning of pregnancy, like your first trimester, it can be common to have uterine cramps. And that's regulated by prostacyclin, and you can prevent uterine cramps, or if you're having uterine cramps, you can decrease those by increasing your intake of vitamin E. Very practical piece of advice if you're getting cramps during pregnancy. And you certainly do not want to have your uterus contracting during pregnancy, because eventually the prostacyclin reaches such a high level that that's what stimulates the birth of the baby. And take this other one, so I just roll that up. I'm going to add olive oil. I want to use plenty of oil. I love to use plenty of oil on these. It makes the flavor really wonderful, and then it also adds to the vitamin E in this recipe. And I like to put a little oil on top and brush them like that. Vitamin E plays a role in vision. It plays a role in the immune system. It plays a role in skin health. It plays a role in regulating and preventing oxidative damage and fats, such as that in your brain, so it's protective to your brain. A lot of times women decrease the levels A lot of times during pregnancy, women's vision is affected, and this is usually due to two things: lack of vitamin A and lack of vitamin E. During lactation, if you are deficient in vitamin E, this is going to affect the baby somewhat. The body also has mechanisms to provide the baby with vitamin E, and it's shown that during lactation, the mother's levels progressively decrease, but the baby's still getting enough. Now, I would take some of this information with a grain of salt, because generally, for most nutrients, on some level, if a nutrient's decreasing, it's affecting the baby. And I would say if that your body's decreasing, your baby might not be affected, and your baby will still get sufficient amounts, but then you are not getting sufficient amounts. And I think a lot of times the reason why our bodies are so worn down and take 4 years to recover after childbirth, and you're just a completely different person, is because you have put all your nutrients into that baby during pregnancy and lactation. Even the nutrients you were consuming before pregnancy are going to your baby. And the requirements for vitamin E during lactation were established based on data taken from women's breast milk concentrations. Now that comes with a little caveat, because when you say, well, are their breast milk concentrations sufficient, or are these just the amounts in women's breast milk? Or they're looking at the women's breast milk, but the data to see if they put on their diet is not known. So we don't know if the pregnant women who were they eating enough vitamin E? Were they eating nuts and seeds and olive oil, or were they eating a heavily processed diet that did not have enough vitamin E? And then we're taking that information and using it to extrapolate the amount in breast milk concentrations, because no matter what, your diet does influence to some level the breast milk concentrations, and different nutrients are different. Like some nutrients, especially the B vitamins and the water soluble ones, those are impacted, the breast milk concentrations are impacted more directly on an immediate basis. Don't judge my flatbreads here, because I am camping and on vacation and I don't have all the ingredients like tapioca flour, but I wanted to make this and I was inspired this morning when I woke up, so I'm making it for you. But if you use tapioca flour instead of coconut flour is not a flour that binds and holds together really well, though it is very nutritious. Tapioca flour is my go-to flour to hold things together, kind of like a little glue and binder. Flaxseed also does that as well here. But these are still going to be beautiful and gorgeous, and you're going to love it. And then in a second, we're going to prep the toppings for these veggie burgers, which are also high in vitamin E, namely avocado, spinach. Spinach is super high in vitamin E, surprisingly. I would say it's a superfood. Anyone who says don't eat spinach because of the oxalates, well, they can just go somewhere else, because it is such a high nutrient food that it cannot be ignored during pregnancy. And generally, the things like oxalates and phytates, your body has ways to get rid of them. And now we're finding these non-nutritives that we used to call non-nutritives, like phytates, that absorb minerals. Theoretically, the research I have seen the research, it doesn't convince me. Bottom line is that vitamin E is extremely protective to the red blood cells and preventing oxidative stress. And anemia basically refers to a bad state of the red blood cells. And if you don't have enough vitamin E, your red blood cells are not going to be in good condition, aka anemia. And this is one nutrient that you can increase more of and help decrease your anemic state. So I a lot of times just like to say, well, anemia is simply poor blood. It's not lack of iron. There is iron deficient anemia. And now I'm going to take my beautiful salmon burger. Now you see here I've got the spinach. These have vitamin E. This has vitamin E. My avocado, the spinach. I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to put that on top. And see how easy that was? And look at that. Gorgeous, gorgeous. The camera wants to track my face. This is my face. There we go. This is what makes my face beautiful. eating like this will give you beautiful skin, beautiful red blood cells, beautiful brain function, and help you in so many ways during your pregnancy, because 50% of women are lacking in vitamin E, which that probably means you. If I had some sunflower seeds, I would add some sunflower seeds to the side of this, like a little cup of sunflower seeds, because those are super high in vitamin E. Just a quarter cup can get a large percentage of your vitamin E for the day. And then I've got roasted carrots here. I cook these in coconut oil, but if you wanted to further increase your vitamin E, this whole recipe gives you about 4.2 milligrams, maybe 23. It's 23% if you're lactating and 29% of your RDA if you're pregnant. And you can see I incorporated 4 ingredients, not counting the olive oil, 5 ingredients counting the olive oil that contain vitamin E. And you can see why it can be difficult to get all of your vitamin E needs. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you read my book on nourishing generations or staying fed. And staying fed, you've got these recipes right here. I don't often cook out of cans, but the taste of the salmon out of the can is so much fresher than buying it in the store. It's already ready, it's already cooked. You just mash it up and throw it in the pan, and it's just the easiest dinner. And we are exposed to toxins on a daily, regular basis. When I drink my water, when I drive in the car, when I take a shower, the water that comes down on me, the clothes that I wear. You know, I've recently switched to mostly cotton clothes, but I could easily have a polyester shirt if I was a little colder. All these things are leaching toxins, so it's important to avoid foods like canned foods, but at the same time, if an occasional canned food helps you maintain a positive intake of nutrients, and especially things like omega-3 fatty acids, and you live in an area where you're not getting fresh fish, and the canned salmon is available, canned wild salmon, and it's effective for your budget more so than fresh fillets of salmon, and you need those omega-3 fats. The omega-3 fats, this is also high in omega-3 fats. The omega-3 fats in salmon is completely different than that in flax. You cannot be vegan and have optimal brain function. And I will say it again. You cannot be a vegetarian and have optimal brain function and nervous system function, because only a small percentage of the fats that you eat from the omega-3s like flax, about 20%, and even as low as 2 to 5% are converted to the DHA that your body so desperately needs. And it is vital, vital, vital in pregnancy to have the most intelligent child is not doing ABCs with him when he's 3 years old. It is consuming omega-3s in your diet that are from the sea. I said it again. You must consume some seafood during pregnancy and lactation to provide your child with the best brain. And I think a lot of times we as mothers also need that. Talk about mama brain. That's from not consuming the omega-3s, because your body takes the omega-3s from your brain and gives it to your little one, because otherwise they couldn't make if you had a woman who was not eating seafood, you could not make the baby's brain, because it needs such a high concentration of those DHAs. And that's my rant for the day. But I hope you enjoy this beautiful dish, and that you increase your levels of vitamin E intake by eating more olive oil, seeds and nuts like sunflower seeds and almonds, and spinach. 2 cups of spinach can give you about 20% of your vitamin E needs in a day. Thank you. I hope you enjoy this. Come back soon and check out my books. You can find them on my blog, on my website, and that's how you support me making fun content like this.
Oye, ¿cómo me voy a trabajar? Vas afuera, ándale, y silencio.